So on the list next we have a token called PENGU. So this is the token for the NFT project called Pudgy Penguins. Um, those of you who are around in sort of December time can remember that there was a very big airdrop that went round for PENGU tokens for all of those who fit. There were several different criterias, but it was uh, one of them was how long you had your Phantom wallet. So I got a nice little airdrop of this, and I know a few others did as well. But looking at it, we can see it's quite an interesting chart. This is on the monthly, so as we can see, not too much to go off in the way of candles, but I think we probably have two levels to put in. So I would put in a level there, and I would put in a level there, and I will label both these monthly. It's quite an interesting chart, this one. I think we can talk about it as we move through, but we can see it's sort of that classic U shape that we tend to see on some of these projects, and I think the recovery on this has been pretty good. I know I had a little bag of this and took profits a little bit too early, but profits are profits is the name of the game. So we have put in the all-time low, and I will come up here to put in the all-time high, and we can come and adjust these as we need to. So going back to it, so yeah, you can see this quite clearly, this U shape on the really high time frame. So if we move down to the weekly, click off that, you can see where have we got our levels. So we can see that this monthly level here is pretty much sort of bang on with these two candles here, and you also encapsulate a little bit of that candle. This monthly, I'd say, is also quite good. You capture these. I might move that down slightly to there to get a little bit close to there. I think there's also a level here just above the all-time low. That is meant to be white, so I will get that, and I will type in weekly. So what else are we looking at? That's interesting. That's close enough. So we'll put this in, and we can adjust this as we go down onto a daily time frame, just to have more on the chart, because there isn't a huge amount to go off on this one, given sort of it's relatively new. So yeah, so not a huge amount to go off there. So if we go down onto the daily and see what picture this paints, so we see classic big run up here, down here, little pull back, and then we see this area here of really nice accumulation, the first impulse, the first distribution, and then once it gained this monthly level, and then this monthly level was when we begin to really sort of see some really good price action. So zooming in on this side of the chart, what can we see here? So we can see an interesting daily level here, which we have nothing around this level, so this is quite a helpful one. We've got one here as well. If I click in, we can put that in, so I will do that. I will type in daily. That is quite an interesting level. We encapsulate all of those candles really in that level. So and there's one here and there's one here, and I think I don't think we need both of these, but I will go for that one there, just to sort of give us something to aim at. It's always better to have slightly more on here, because then you can take them out, and as we see there's an interesting daily level ahead of this quite large chunk here. So as we go along, we can see solid accumulation, bounce off of there, the gain of this level, yeah, so this monthly level on the daily, we could potentially move it up slightly there. So if we go back to the monthly, where does that sit on the monthly? So yeah, that sits quite nicely. So if we go back onto the daily, so we can see once we gained this monthly level, so you can see once we gained this level, we had this really nice consolidation up here, support, support, resistance, resistance, support, and it just basically travelled in this channel before gaining this level, a push up. We had a gain, a retest on this level, and we can see nice little round over, and then once we gained levels, it was just a case of moving up. We can see, and this is I think something that's quite interesting if you look through on some of the other alt charts, is you can see where we've had this massive price void here on this side of the chart. When price gets here, we move very, very quickly through it, and you can see the same here with this void and this candle here, and then similarly once we get here we can see straight through. Once it gains that level there, it was straight through. So get rid of that, and then as we see, we can run up, and we basically had a full market structure retest. So we had this here, and now we are back into a distribution phase, and as we can see, this fair value gap here is now coming to get filled in. So looking at this on a higher time frame, where do I expect some activity? Well, I think certainly your next point of interest is this level here at this 0.31 cents. If you fail to hold that, you'd then be trying to look for support here, and if not, it could be a bit of a nasty one down to here. But in terms of where the volume sits on this one, so if we go on everyone's favourite, the FRVP, scroll this across, yeah, there's very little volume at the upper end, so we can see, yeah, potentially sort of round here, this area, this is quite an interesting area of volume, so I will put a purple line here, so we can see if we push up, this might be a place where profits get taken. Where else? I think this is quite an interesting zone, and I'll put a little box around this, so we see this zone here, which I will box up there, and then we will have a little box here as well, and we'll put a little box here just to give us some data to work off. So, and then actually we will have a little box here to aim at, and then this area here is also quite interesting. And then if we were to draw lower, we'd probably be looking sort of these two areas here, right? So if I get rid of that, so let's have a look and zoom in. So we can see straight through that level. Next point of interest will be inside of this box and how well it can hold these daily levels here. If it fails to hold that, we could then be looking for a full retest of this area. So this could get quite bloody quite quickly. And we see from a price action perspective, we had this top, we had this lower high here, and now it's just a grind down. So this one, I wouldn't be looking for a long in here, because I think you're sort of middle of the range here. I'd potentially be looking for some sort of reaction in this bottom end of the zone. Failing that, I think you're then probably looking maybe for entries down here, or you might get something on sort of this final last chance saloon level. But an interesting one nonetheless. I mean, yeah, you don't really want to be trading this on a really low time frame, but as you can see, consolidation in the box, move up, consolidation in the box, move down, move up. So it's lost this box. So I wouldn't be particularly interested in this token here, because I think ultimately it probably has to come down and grab some liquidity from here at some point. So not something I would jump in front of at the moment.